Welcome to Game Theorem, where we have serious discussions about absurd entertainment.
All of you ungrateful humans who took everything away from me will feel my loss and despair. Professor Gerald Robotnik, head scientist of the Ark.
We're talking about Sonic.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh my god, no.
It was really cool timing. We're doing this like right around the release of the new Sonic movie. Mm-hmm. I'm really happy about that. But, okay, so I want to say that, so Sonic. People have very divisive feelings about Sonic. Or I guess very passionate feelings, right?
It's a lot of nostalgia tied up in Sonic.
But it's not just that. I genuinely think that the Sonic games, in general, are good games.
My limited experience with the series has been Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and then I tried to play some of the older ones.
Okay, well, that's the best one. I'll agree, that's the best one, but...
Not story-wise, though. I think some of the later ones had a cooler story.
I think one of the things that makes the Sonic series the best is its story. Mm-hmm. And I know that people might think I'm being blasphemous for saying that. I've long believed that the thing that makes Sonic different from Mario or Pokemon and many of its competitors, and being games that were played by a lot of children, was that Sonic doesn't really handhold you so much when it comes to the story. There's some dark topics in the Sonic series. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we can talk about dark ones in Mario and Pokemon, and we have, but I really feel like Sonic does some of the most like realistic gut-punching kind of stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
Before we get too deep into this episode, I wanted to make a disclaimer, though. Mm-hmm. Even as a fan of the Sonic franchise, I have to admit that Sonic is completely horrible when it comes to representation of gender.
It is so much misogynistic.
There is so much misogyny.
Between the only female characters being the only ones to wear clothes and the way they treat those female characters.
Oh, and that creates such a dissonance. If you ever wonder why so many people have like this like lewd association with the Sonic series, it's probably because from the very beginning you're meant to think of them as lewd. I mean, imagine like the Cats movie that came out. People had a similar scenario where they're naked, but they're not at the same time. Like specifically with Sonic, the male characters usually are mostly naked, whereas the female ones wear clothes. Not like that's misogynist. It's hypocritical, but it also makes when you see the female one, it makes you think, wait, does that mean Sonic is naked? Am I supposed to treat him as naked? Where do anthropomorphic animals fall on the human uncomfortability, animal comfortable spectrum? Like the fact that some wear clothes and some don't. Makes it
just weird.
It makes it cognitively dissonant. It calls into question their nakedness from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's true.
But also what you were saying, there's very few written female characters, and even the ones they have, it's hard to interpret them in any really great light.
Yep.
So let's get into the story. I mean, look, I know I said that's bad, right? But I also think, and this is basically going to be our thesis for this episode, the Sonic series as a whole is a message against imperialism.
Fair enough.
Sonic is anti-war or anti-conquest. Pro-liberation, pro-freedom. Mm-hmm. Sonic is revolution. I wish they were better on the woman front, but still, I think this makes the Sonic series a net gain.
Fair enough. Let's get started.
Okay.
You go first.
Sonic would come to exist within a multiverse, with an infinite array of dimensions separated by empty void, known only as the white space. Such dimensions included ones where a hedgehog named Sonic would be born, including the Sonic Games dimension, Classic Sonic dimension, Sonic Boom dimension, Sonic Cinematic dimension, for the new movie that's coming out, Sonic X dimension, and various versions of the Sonic comic dimension. However, Other dimensions existed that would be completely alien to those dimensions, including the Flicky dimension, the Soul dimension, the Chaotic Inferno zone, and the Twilight Cage. For the record, though, the games we're going to be talking about, basically that means we're talking about the video game timelines. And we're not really going to go into depth to all the sports games, because most of those contribute very little to the plot.
Within this white space existed a free-floating, trans-dimensional artifact called the Phantom Ruby that had the power to edit reality itself, limited only by the user's imagination. Despite its power, it would always end up passing through the dimensions, out of one's hands and into another's.
The following was the story of the Sonic Games dimension.
Is this just like the main one?
Yes, basically. The one that started it all. We don't have time to go into all the others.
In the beginning, within this dimension existed many gods with amazing abilities, scattered across the stars. Rings littered the universe as evidence of their magical powers. One god, called the Time Eater, was content to travel through space aimlessly, but another, called the Mother Wisp, created her own world called Planet Wisp, and she birthed a whole species called Wisps. While they were native to Planet Wisp, they could naturally travel through space, and many would spread to explore other planets. That's interesting. What are those?
They're like ghostly jellyfish, ghostly space jellyfish.
Okay, then.
Similarly, a pantheon of gods worked together to create a planet that would one day be known by some as Earth and others as Mobius. While the phrase the gods would normally refer to this pantheon, it was not uncommon for some gods to be unaffiliated with the pantheon.
So they're just like extra gods who have their own agendas or whatever?
Yeah, think of gods just being everywhere, and the gods is referring to a group that work together. They are not all of the gods.
Okay. Within the core of this world rested two of the most powerful gods outside this pantheon, known as Dark Gaia and Light Gaia, representing destruction and creation, respectively. Every few million years, Dark Gaia would awake and attempt to destroy the world from within, initiating an event called the Time of Awakening. But each time, Light Gaia put Dark Gaia to rest and restored the world.
The world had two natural satellites. One was its moon, with a circular orbit. The other was called the Little Planet, with a highly elliptical orbit around this world.
So there's another planet?
It's a satellite. You would probably call it another moon, but it's known as the Little Planet.
Okay, that's weird.
Because it has greenery and life on it.
Oh, okay. What's on it?
Greenery and life.
What kind of life?
Organic.
Like humans, or?
We haven't even gotten to humans existing yet. Let's keep going with the story.
Okay. Many species of animals evolved on this world, and humans eventually became the dominant species. However, other intelligent species came to reside on the planet, which were the anthropomorphic animal-like beings collectively known as Mobians. They seem to have originated from another world. There were many species of Mobians, most being intelligent versions of animal species of this world.
Any questions about that? So most of the Sonic characters are Mobians, basically. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they said they originated from another world?
Yeah, they seem to...
Are they aliens, or...?
Technically, but, like, how long do you have to reside on the planet before you're no longer considered aliens? You know?
Oh, okay.
All right. Humans, Mobians, and other animals cohabitated on the same world, but humans far outnumbered Mobians. In addition, Mobians tend to live on islands and coastlines, though it depended on the species.
Flickies were a species of small trans-dimensional animals that arrived in this world from another dimension, but they were otherwise just another species of small bird. Their arrival may have been related to the appearance of the Lost Hex, a floating planetoid continent in the skies of this world. The dominant demonoid species that lived exclusively on the Lost Hex were called the Zeti. What?
So there's demons, basically.
And they're in the sky?
Sky demons, yes.
Sky demons.
Yes.
Sky demons.
Yes.
Okay, then. The Sonic world has sky demons.
10,000 years earlier, to prepare, by earlier we mean like earlier prior to the start of the games.
Okay.
Yeah. To prepare for Dark Gaia's next awakening, the gods arranged for the construction of the 7 Gaia temples around this world. With each temple, an emerald of amazing magical power was constructed. The gods seemed to intend that they be used by Light Gaia or others to defeat Dark Gaia during the next time of awakening.
However, the emeralds constantly changed hands as both humans and Mobians sought them to acquire power for their own ends, causing many wars and conflicts.
One day, all 7 emeralds were gathered on Westside Island and used in a brutal conflict that resulted in divine intervention. The gods realized the threat they posed to the people of this world, and so they created the Master Emerald, a larger 8th gem that could nullify the power of all of the other emeralds. Having neutralized the conflict, the gods sealed the 7 emeralds deep within Westside Island and the Master Emerald elsewhere.
'Cause yeah, just like make something else that counteracts it. That'll work.
We made big magic thing that people use as weapons. Let's solve it with other big magic weapon.
Westside Island seals did not last forever, and in time, the emeralds began to be used for conflict once more, though the Master Emerald could be relied upon to neutralize the conflict. In time, the gods constructed the altar of the emeralds to seal all 8 emeralds in one place. In doing so, they created angelic beings called Chow that would watch over the emeralds.
However, one of the Chow got too close to the Master Emerald and became affected by its power until the Chow was liquefied and absorbed into the emerald, the Master Emerald.
Wow, okay.
Yep.
For millennia, this Chow was sealed inside the Master Emerald and incubated, slowly accumulating power from the altar of the emeralds, slowly becoming a deity itself. From within its enclosure, with its magical gaze, it protected not only the emeralds, but also its Chow family.
The Babylonians were an advanced spacefaring civilization consisting of avian species of Mobians. Many Babylonians were soaring through space on their spaceship called the Babylon Garden, which was powered by gravity-altering devices called the Arcs of the Cosmos, only for them to overload their systems mid-flight and threaten to manifest a black hole.
Yay.
Don't you just hate it when you accidentally blow up the engine of your vehicle?
The Babylonians happened to be passing by this world at the time, and so they ejected the Arcs of the Cosmos into orbit around the planet before crashing into it. The Babylonians repurposed the Babylon Garden into a floating island settlement and waited for the orbits of the Arcs of the Cosmos to decay so that they could rebuild their ship and return to their home planet.
These Babylonians became known as the Babylon Rogues, and they used their advanced technology to roam the world and steal treasure or anything they fancied.
Okay. However, the Babylon Rogues, in their hubris, gifted a young boy a device called an angel wing that he used to conquer the world and rule it for a time until he was deposed. What is this from?
Sonic Riders.
What?
The second one, I think. Yeah.
Really? Okay, then.
But it's surprising how much conquering happens in this game. We'll get to the whole anti-imperialism stuff. Under the rule of Stolen, the 13th leader of the Babylon Rogues, advanced Babylonian technology was used to create the magic carpet to facilitate their raids upon the world.
Yay. Now they're gonna be conquering things. Eventually, the Babylon Rogues found 2 of the Arcs of the Cosmos and hid them away while they plundered the world, looking for the others.
The gods of this world decided they had had enough of the Babylon Rogues terrorizing people, and so they unleashed their wrath upon Babylon Garden, burying it beneath the sand. The Babylonians were scattered, and in time they integrated into relatively more primitive Mobian societies.
2 of these societies were rival clans of Mobian echidnas, known as the Knuckles clan and the Nocturnus clan. They were peaceful but were facing hard times. So is Knuckles literally named after his clan?
Yes.
That's dumb.
So you're saying we shouldn't name our kid America?
No. No. Wow. I cannot believe you would even say that.
I mean, it points out how ridiculous it is. Mm-hmm. However, the leader of the Nocturnus clan preyed upon the fears of his people to turn his clan into an imperialist empire. He called himself Imperator Ix, and using salvaged Babylonian technology, he created armies of ancient androids called Gizoids that were used as infantry in their conquest of other lands, until the Nocturnus clan controlled much of the world.
Yay, more imperialism. Meanwhile, the Knuckles clan, under the leadership of Pachacamac, responded with a brutal conquest of their own, conquering the remaining portion of the world swiftly by killing whole populations.
So we're now in an Echidna Cold War. Except it's not cold.
And genocide, apparently.
Yes! Knuckles does not come...
Wait.
What?
If those are the only two species of Mobian that are left because they killed the other population.
They didn't extinct other species.
Oh, I see.
But they're the only, nation states at the time.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. But they did kill whole populations. Mm-hmm. 4,000 years earlier, when the borders of the Knuckles and Nocturnus clans eventually clashed, they engaged in a bloody war. Upon realizing that the Knuckles clan would not be defeated so easily, the Nocturnus clan deployed the Gizoid armies upon the Knuckles clan to annihilate them.
Pachacamac's daughter, Tikal, discovered the altar of the emeralds nearby one of the Knuckles clan's cities. Because she cared for the child there, the god residing within the Master Emerald let her stay. Tikal studied the emeralds and learned of the dangerous power they represented. She prayed that the emeralds would not be used to the gods, specifically to the concept of chaos itself.
However, as the war with the Nocturnus clan grew dire, Pachacamac ordered a raid upon the altar of the emeralds to use them to fight the Gizoids. Despite Tikal's opposition, they broke the barrier and stormed the altar of the emeralds, all the while trampling and killing the young Chao.
Wow. If you don't know, Chao are literally the most adorable babies ever, so this is completely heinous.
They're like cherubs. They're like permanent, adorable angel babies.
Yes, except they don't look like humans, so they're even more adorable.
And they can grow up, but even then they're so cute.
Yeah, they're adorable. The god within the Master Emerald leapt out and absorbed all 7 emeralds, becoming the incarnation of perfect chaos itself. In vengeance for harming the Chao, Chaos obliterated Pachacamac and the Knuckles clan. But with so much power, Chaos flooded much of the world, threatening to wipe out many other civilizations.
To defend against Chaos, the Nocturnus clan developed the most advanced Gizoid unit they could make, naming him Emerald, to aid in the fight against Chaos. So, giant Chaos water god is flooding the world. We need a better robot!
Of course, that's how they would think, because war.
Yep.
However, there existed an eldritch god named Argus, hailing from the alternate dimension Twilight Cage, whose one goal was to abduct entire civilizations of species throughout time and space that it had deemed deserving of eternal imprisonment for their actions. Argus judged the Nocturnus clan of deserving eternal imprisonment as opposed to quick annihilation, and tentacles reached from a portal in space and abducted every member of the Nocturnus clan before they were killed by Chaos. Emerald was the only one to be spared.
Any thoughts on that, Kira?
Yeah, there's just an eldritch god that wiped out an entire clan because they were being imperialists.
I know the way they do it though is interesting. Argus waits until right before they're gonna die of their own causes anyway, of their own wars, and right before you die, actually no, we're gonna abduct you and put you in solitary.
Yep. For eternity.
Yeah. So very, very judgmental god.
Yep.
But I don't know, they were kind of jerks.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, imperialist empires tend to be jerks, right? That's not an understatement. Mm-hmm. To prevent the world's destruction, Tikal sacrificed herself, using the Master Emerald to seal chaos within it, along with her own soul. The energy released from the Master Emerald tore the altar of the emeralds and the surrounding region from the ground into the air. The floating chunk of land would become known as Angel Island, watched over by the few surviving but humbled members of the Knuckles clan. The world was saved, but the newly named Chaos Emeralds were scattered once more. After this ordeal with chaos, the gods gave up any hope of balance.
So basically, they just gave up on interfering with any.
Yeah, they just kind of throw up their hands because, like, okay, there's chaos. Let's make emeralds. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's make a big emerald. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's try wiping out the civilization. That didn't work either. It's just getting worse. And then now there's an artificial god, and they're just like, okay, you know what? We're done. We're done.
Meanwhile,
which is also probably why things start getting worse after this point, by the way. I mean, because, yes, they were making more problems than they solved, but then they just kind of leave everyone to rot.
Yep. Meanwhile, the Nocturnus clan joined many other species that had been condemned to the dreary existence of the Twilight Cage, since the original precursors that were its first victims. Some of the other alien civilizations included the Kron, Zoa, Nergal, and Voxai.
Human civilizations began to, what?
What are those other civilizations, and why do we know that they're imprisoned there too?
Well, they probably come from long before the Knuckles clan, or the Nocturnus clan did. The Zoa, they're like rock people. No, the Kron are rock people. The Zoa are warriors. The Nergal are like slugs, and the Voxai are extremely psychic, floating things.
And so these are all warmongering genociders?
Well, they were all punished for their misdeeds by being put there. They similarly did horrible things like the Nocturnus clan, though we don't know what.
Okay, how do we know that they're in there as well?
Why?
I'm just curious.
It might come up again later. We'll see.
All right, fine.
Human civilizations began to advance faster than previous Mobian civilizations due to their own societal and technological innovations.
2,000 years earlier, there existed a black comet populated with demonic beings known as the Black Arms, led by their father known as Black Doom. The comet passed by this world, and Black Doom arranged to stake it out and watch humanity develop. They constructed the Glyphic Canyon to mark their presence before leaving. The Black Comet would revisit this world every 50 years.
1,000 years earlier, King Shahryar was the sultan of a human-run nation, and he found an enchanted book called King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Inspired by it, he wrote his own enchanted book called The Arabian Nights, with himself as the main character.
Okay, and this happened 1,000 years earlier. Why?
That's around the time that, like, the Arab world was kind of running the world.
Okay. Eventually, much of the world became covered in human-run nation-states, the most powerful of which would eventually be the United Federation, a republic that oversaw the acceleration of technological advancements throughout the land they ruled at the expense of the local people, nature, and wildlife.
The Guardian Units of Nations, or GUN, it's gun, was a corporate paramilitary force that answered only to the president of the United Federation, who reside in its capital's central city.
Wait. They were a corporation?
Corporate paramilitary group.
What?
It means they blurred the lines between what a military is supposed to do and a corporation.
Wow. Okay.
Through unmitigated armaments, gunships, robots, and mechs at guns' disposal, the United Federation exerted its control over the other nations and peoples of the world. Does that sound familiar, or does that sound familiar?
Yep.
It's obviously an allegory for the United States. Mm-hmm. The United States' military is called GUN.
And to quote Kyle, governments are often very murdery.
Oh, that was something I said once.
Yep.
Next.
Professor Gerald
Gerald.
Gerald?
Yes.
Professor Gerald
Yes.
Robotnik.
It's a very common name.
Gerald.
Yes.
Gerald?
Yes.
That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Okay. Professor Gerald Robotnik was one of the greatest scientific minds of all time, and a man who was descended from a long line of renowned, successful, and elite scientists, tracing all the way back to King Shahryar.
Remember I just mentioned him?
Yes. His most iconic creation was his development of space travel that culminated in the construction of the space colony Ark, the first human-made space colony.
Robotnik had 2 grandchildren named Maria and Ivo. Maria and Ivo were cousins. While Ivo was being raised elsewhere by his parents, Maria came to live with Robotnik on the Ark. Maria suffered from neuroimmune deficiency syndrome, or NIDS, requiring constant medical care, and Robotnik hoped that his off-world experiments on the Ark could eventually lead to a cure for her. Mm-hmm. It's an AIDS allegory! They're talking about the AIDS crisis!
I mean, they don't really talk about it, they just have a character who happens to have it.
This was made in, like, the 90s, right? Yeah.
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was, like, late 90s, and it's literally, obviously, she has AIDS, but instead it's called NIDS in this universe.
Yeah, because they didn't want to say.
And she had to go off-world. Why? Was the United Federation not helping her?
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. 50 years earlier, the president of the United Federation began a program under the guise of researching the possibility of immortality for humanity. But in reality, he wanted to develop an immortality formula for the use of indestructible bioweapons.
Yay.
He sent a letter to Robotnik requesting that he spearhead the endeavor, which was given the codename Project Shadow. But the president did not notify Gunn of any of this.
Any thoughts on that?
Of course. Just, of course. This warmongering imperialist president of the United Federation would do this.
It's not just the president.
Yeah, I know.
The fact that the power structure exists like this seems bad, doesn't it?
Yep.
Robotnik refused at first, but he eventually accepted the president's request, hoping that the research could lead to a cure for NIDS. He and his staff started by researching the Chaos Emeralds and the gods, and Robotnik eventually even discovered the long-lost android Emerald, and a never-before-seen god called Ifrit in the process. Meanwhile, he invented Chaos Drives by harvesting the Chaos Emeralds as an alternative energy resource.
Okay.
All gun robots end up getting powered by these eventually.
Oh. After Robotnik successfully applied that energy to living beings in an attempt to tap into their power, he refocused his research into creating an ultimate life form, a being that could harness chaos energy to become immortal like the gods.
Using lizard DNA, the prototype of the ultimate life form was initially hailed as a success, but it required a cybernetic life support system to maintain itself. While it could regenerate its own flesh, Robotnik declared the attempt a failure at achieving true immortality, or curing anything. The prototype would be known as the Bio-Lizard.
Yep. The Black Comet returned to pass by this world as it did every 50 years, and in doing so, Robotnik, aboard the Ark, made contact with Black Doom to seek the assistance of a god who might be willing to divulge his secrets.
Black Doom promised a deal with Robotnik. If Robotnik agreed that Black Doom could take all 7 of the Chaos Emeralds the next time his comet passed this world, he would give Robotnik samples of his own blood. Robotnik agreed. In Robotnik's defense, the Chaos Emeralds have been nothing but like a nuisance for everyone.
So
just give them to an alien, they can take them.
Fair enough. Robotnik tried a second time to make the ultimate life form, this time using the DNA of a Mobian hedgehog, along with Black Doom's DNA. While the second iteration was underway, some of Robotnik's staff leaked information about the experiments to Gunn out of fear of his deal with the devil and the purpose of the experiment.
His deal with the devil? Like, literally? So, military finds out. Under the pressure of Gunn, the president threatened to cut funding for Project Shadow as a response to Robotnik's consulting with foreign alien powers. Robotnik attempted to bribe them by offering Emerald to them as an android weapon, but Emerald instead went on a rampage on the Ark that Robotnik had to quell.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
It was a broken weapon.
The ultimate life form was eventually completed and became known as Shadow the Hedgehog. Robotnik treated Shadow as an equal, hoping to instill a sense of a soul within him. Maria and Shadow became best friends as they lived their young lives together on the Ark.
Honestly, Shadow has the best backstory.
Yes, he does.
It's why he's my favorite character, and it's not just because he's edgy. It's because he actually has an arc, a character arc. Sonic doesn't have that.
Yep.
When Gunn learned of the creation of the ultimate life form had been a success, they decided to use their claim to Shadow the Hedgehog as an opportunity to neutralize the Ark. For the Ark, as an independent research station outside of any nation's borders, was viewed as a constant threat by the United Federation if Robotnik ever became uncooperative.
Yay. Gunn began a propaganda campaign that claimed there had been a biohazard incident aboard the Ark and that they would be conducting an evacuation. When they boarded the Ark, they evacuated civilians, but then began executing all scientists and researchers to prevent any information about Project Shadow from leaking to the public.
America would do a coup? What? I mean, sorry, United Federation. I love this. This is amazing. Sonic is so anti-imperialist. They're calling out America. Robotnik sent Maria and Shadow to an escape pod so that they could escape Gunn's coup. But en route, the Gunn soldiers shot and killed Maria. She had just managed to get Shadow into an escape pod and ejected him to safely land on the world below.
So they killed a little girl.
Yep. And this is like traumatizing for Shadow to this day.
Yep. Gunn captured Robotnik, wanting to keep him alone alive, and they announced to the world that the scientists had died in the biohazard incident. Unable to kill the bio-lizard, Gunn sealed it away in the Ark and condemned it to float in space, otherwise unoccupied.
Robotnik was taken to Prison Island to do forced labor and research as dictated by Gunn. Gunn also retrieved Shadow and imprisoned him with Robotnik. Gunn forced Robotnik to continue his research upon Shadow as they saw fit, but Robotnik secretly instead altered Shadow's programming in a long-term plan that would result in the Ark crashing into the world to kill all of humanity in revenge for the death of Maria.
Wow.
I kind of understand it.
Yep.
It's wrong, but I kind of get it.
Yep. When Robotnik ceased cooperating with Gunn, they executed him and cryogenically sealed Shadow away.
Of course they did. Robotnik's surviving grandson eventually grew up into a man that absolutely loathed the United Federation and everything it represented. While Dr. Ivo Robotnik initially wanted to become a teacher, he instead became a mad scientist and used his inherited assets to advance the development of robots more than any other human in history.
Yep.
That's why Eggman's the bad guy. The United Federation helped make the man that would become their biggest enemy.
Yep.
Does that sound familiar?
Yep.
Making your own enemies because of your overexerted power.
He specifically made the discovery that small animals could be used as power sources for robots called badniks. The animals suffered in their confinement, but the robots functioned as mechs for the animals, though they had their own programming that subdued any free will the animals could muster, enslaving them to Robotnik. He dreamt of using his armies of robots to destroy the United Federation and take over the world himself. He also had a child that he neglected.
They never explained anything about this child, but at some point he had a kid.
Yeah.
Look, Eggman's not a good man. I just agree with destroying the United Federation. Mm-hmm. I don't like what he does after that in his plans.
I don't like the implications that Robotnik had a kid.
That he, like, got intimate with a woman?
Yeah, there had to be a woman that had that kid. And I'm just like, nope.
I don't think I've ever seen him show interest in a woman, but somehow he had a kid. All right. Mm-hmm. 15 years earlier, Sonic the Hedgehog was born on Christmas Island. It wasn't uncommon for Mobians to have special abilities, and Sonic possessed the ability to run at the speed of sound.
Is that in the music for Sonic that he runs at the speed of sound?
I mean, yes.
Meanwhile, the kingdom of Soliana worshipped a god called Solaris that existed as a small flame on a candle known as the Flames of Hope. The Duke of Soliana initiated the Solaris Project that would research how to exploit Solaris's powers in the hopes of unlocking unrestrained control over time. He wanted to use time travel to undo the death of his wife for both his own sake and his daughter's, Princess Elise III.
10 years earlier, the Solaris Project experienced a massive failure when Solaris the Flame was split into two entities, Iblis and Mephiles. Iblis represented Solaris's power, while Mephiles was the mind. The Duke died in the explosion, leaving Elise as the monarch ruling Soliana, but not before he sealed Iblis away in Elise's soul with a Chaos Emerald. She would never be allowed to cry, or Iblis would be released.
It is interesting that she's named after her mother.
What do you mean named after her mother?
She's Princess Elise III.
Which means her mother had to be the second.
Yes.
You're right.
And her grandmother must have been the first.
I don't like the whole thing of like, oh, woman can't cry, you like can't show emotions or weakness and crap.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I mean, it could have been done well, I guess. You could have
It was weird that they randomly chose that to be the thing that triggered Iblis.
It's like woman so emotional kind of thing. It's the misogyny.
Yeah, exactly. Although
it would have been actually a much better story if it was a man that had to cry. Because then shedding toxic masculinity. Whatever. Let's just move on.
Mm-hmm. Shadow the Hedgehog from the future time traveled to this point to seal Mephiles away in the Scepter of Darkness. Future Shadow then returned from whence he came.
Okay. As Robotnik escalated his development of secret bases and armies of robots, Sonic gave him the nickname Dr. Eggman based on his body shape.
That's so mean. I didn't realize that came from Sonic.
Yeah. Fat-phobic very much? Seriously, That's not cool, Sonic. They say that, like, oh, he was just being friendly and teasing him about it. So it's still incredibly rude and mean.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you're smiling while you're doing it.
Sega Sonic the Hedgehog?
Okay, so now we're finally getting into the actual games.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And I should mention that there was a resource I used to figure out the game timelines, because they do not go in, like, release order.
Of course they don't.
So shout out to LucasGP on Reddit. We'll include a link in the description. We didn't use it for the entire thing, but for a good amount of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. All right, so this is the first game. Robotnik kidnaps Sonic the Hedgehog, Ray the Flying Squirrel, and Mighty the Armadillo, taking them to the ironically named Eggman Island. The three of them manage to escape the death traps and the island.
Yep. What?
Ray the Flying Squirrel and Mighty the Armadillo. Are these who become Tails and Knuckles later on?
No, it's a flying squirrel and an armadillo.
Well, Tails is a flying fox, and Knuckles is an echidna.
Spoilers, but no, it's a flying squirrel and armadillo. There's some of Sonic's old friends that he left behind for new friends.
Okay, then.
Sonic the Hedgehog, 1991 8-bit. Sonic followed Robotnik to South Island to look for the Chaos Emeralds. Robotnik converted the animals into more badniks. Sonic defeated Robotnik with the Chaos Emeralds and then sealed them away within the special stages.
Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog 1991 16-bit. Robotnik refused to give up, and so Sonic retrieved the Chaos Emeralds from the special stages and defeated him again. He used the Chaos Emeralds to remove the pollution from South Island and free the animals.
Look, okay, this is not going to be exactly a great part of the story. I feel like the backstory on the Imperialism we talked about, great. Now we're just getting into the part where Robotnik fails a bunch.
Yeah, these first games.
Dr. Eggman began creating robotic doppelgangers of Sonic, thinking he could make a version of Sonic that would be able to beat the real one. His first design was called Metal Sonic.
Okay. Sonic CD. Robotnik chained the little planet to this world so that he could acquire the time stones that were on it, which were the little planet's equivalent of the Chaos Emeralds. What? The little planet had an equivalent to the Chaos Emeralds.
Maybe they had their own pantheon, we don't know.
Metal Sonic kidnapped Amy Rose, a Mobian hedgehog with a huge crush on Sonic. While Robotnik attempted to use the time stones to change the flow of time, Sonic rescued Amy, defeated Metal Sonic, took back the time stones, defeated Robotnik, and saved the world.
Yay!
The entire character of Amy Rose is just awful.
Sometimes I try to see some good in her, but there's just so little there. It's such a stereotype.
She is literally not even relevant to the main story here.
No, she's just the damsel.
Yep. They just added a damsel for Sonic to save.
I would love for Amy to have her own game where she finally gets a character arc.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Tails Adventure. The Battle Cuckoo Empire, an army of avian Mobians, were attempting to conquer Coco Island and the Chaos Emeralds that now resided there. Miles Tails Prower, a Mobian fox with the ability to fly and a very skilled mechanic, defeated their leader, the Great Battle Cuckoo the 15th.
So this is where Tails comes from?
Yes.
That's weird. Alright, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 1992, 16-bit. Robotnik created a flying fortress called the Death Egg, powered by the Chaos Emeralds. Because, of course, he just somehow got them.
Look, they change hands all the time. I think it's really like Dragon Ball, where once you use them, they all just scatter.
Mm-hmm. Sonic, with his new friend Tails, infiltrated the Death Egg, took the Chaos Emeralds, powered up into a new form called Super Sonic, and fought Mecha Sonic, the latest robotic doppelganger that Robotnik made. After defeating Mecha Sonic, Sonic defeated Robotnik.
Why are you saying it like that?
Because this is literally like a character that never even comes back again. Like, they go back to Metal Sonic.
For what it's worth, the Death Egg is a pretty big event in the Sonic universe. It's like this is the most powerful Eggman has gotten up to this point. He was able, it basically, he made his own arc.
Okay.
Yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The Death Egg fell upon Angel Island, threatening the Master Emerald. Knuckles the Echidna was the last guardian protecting it, and he fought Sonic thinking Sonic was a threat. Sonic and Tails also managed to use the Chaos Emeralds to defeat Robotnik.
Oh, okay. So this is where Knuckles comes from?
Yes.
Alright then. Sonic and Knuckles. Robotnik stole the Master Emerald to power the Death Egg, but Sonic used the Chaos Emeralds to upgrade them into the Super Emeralds, temporarily powering himself into a new form called Hypersonic. After destroying Mecha Sonic V3, Sonic and Tails defeated Robotnik and returned the Master Emerald to Knuckles.
I didn't think you'd be so sarcastic when reading this.
Come on. This is ridiculous.
Whatever. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. One of Robotnik's badniks tried to steal the Master Emerald, but Knuckles managed to stop Robotnik using the Chaos Emeralds.
So he does it on his own that time?
Yes.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 1992, 8-bit. Why are there so many different versions of these?
In the 90s, early 90s especially, a lot of times they would make different versions of games for different systems that had completely different stories, but called them the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Robotnik kidnapped Tails as a hostage to exchange for the Chaos Emeralds. He also made another robotic doppelganger called Silver Sonic. Sonic used the Chaos Emeralds to defeat Silver Sonic and Robotnik.
Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball. Robotnik created a pinball-themed base on a volcano called the Veg-O Fortress. Using the Chaos Emeralds to stop him enslaving the animals, Sonic and Tails defeated Robotnik.
Yet again. Sonic Chaos. Robotnik tried to take the Chaos Emeralds to Sink South Island, but Sonic and Tails defeated him.
Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble. Robotnik tried to find the Chaos Emeralds once more, but he had to compete against the treasure hunter Knack the Weasel. In addition, Knuckles got mixed up in the whole affair. Sonic defeated Robotnik, Knack, and Knuckles.
Sonic Blast. Robotnik attacked Sonic, but Knuckles came to his rescue. In the process, some emeralds were shattered, and they had to retrieve the pieces before Robotnik found any of them.
Tails' Sky Patrol. Tails went on his own adventure and defeated a witch named Witchcart to save some animals from her crystal magic.
Sonic 3D Blast. Robotnik developed the Dimension Ring Generator to automate the process of converting animals, particularly flicky birds, into badniks and robots. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles defeated Robotnik to free the flickies.
This was the game where we found out those little flicky birds are apparently trans-dimensional beings.
Okay, then.
Knuckles Chaotix. The Master Emerald reacted with some rings, forming the 7 Chaos Rings. Robotnik learned of this and converted an island into the new Tragic High Zone, where he reverse-engineered the Chaos Rings to create the Dark Rings to power his machines. Mighty the Armadillo, Espio the Chameleon, Vector the Crocodile, and Charmy Bee all ended up being captured by Robotnik. Knuckles destroyed Robotnik's machines, rescued Mighty, Espio, Vector, and Charmy, and fought a duplicate Metal Sonic V2, who had absorbed the Dark Ring's power and become Metal Sonic Kai. But Knuckles defeated Metal Sonic and Robotnik.
Okay, then, moving on.
You're not commenting on this anymore? Okay.
Nope. Sonic the Fighter. Sonic and his friends each guarded a Chaos Emerald to prevent Robotnik from using them, but Robotnik managed to create the Death Egg 2 anyway without the Chaos Emeralds. Robotnik manipulated them to form a fighting tournament to decide who would deliver the Chaos Emeralds to the Death Egg 2. The combatants included Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Espio, Knack, who had changed his name to Fang the Sniper, Bark the Polar Bear, Bean the Dynamite, Honey the Cat, Metal Sonic V2, and Mechasonic Model number 29. Sonic 1 defeated Robotnik and destroyed the Death Egg 2.
Why are you laughing this time?
Just all those random characters are hilarious.
Hey, Mechasonic Model number 29 was the best one.
Shush.
I'm just kidding.
You've never even played this game.
I've seen pictures. Sonic R. Someone hosted a World Grand Prix, we don't know who, with the reward being the Chaos Emeralds. Robotnik entered the race, which alarmed Sonic enough that he and his friends joined the race. The competitors included Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Robotnik, Metal Sonic V2, a robotic doppelganger of Tails that Robotnik made called the Tails Doll, another doppelganger of Knuckles called Metal Knuckles, and an Eggman Robo. In the end, Supersonic won the race.
Of course. Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure. Robotnik attacks Sonic with everything he's got, including Mechasonic V2, but Sonic defeated him.
Sonic the Hedgehog 4, Episode 1. Robotnik attacks Sonic with revamped versions of his various robotic forces as a distraction while he chained the Little Planet once more.
Sonic the Hedgehog 4, Episode Metal. Robotnik rescued the original version of Metal Sonic when he chained Little Planet. After repairing him, he sent Metal Sonic to absorb the orb of the Lost Labyrinth to acquire an edge over Sonic.
Sonic the Hedgehog 4, Episode 2. Robotnik rebuilt the Death Egg 2 around Little Planet to capture it as a headquarters for himself. But Sonic and Tails defeated both Metal Sonic and Robotnik. The Little Planet was unchained but still trapped within the ruins of the Death Egg 2.
By this point, Robotnik was naming many of his robots after the moniker Eggman that Sonic had given him. Robotnik heavily leaned into it and chose to reclaim it. He began calling himself Dr. Eggman publicly and even named the empire he hoped to create the Eggman Empire.
You know what? Good for you, Eggman. Don't let Sonic bully you like that. You want to take on that name and embrace it? Then go ahead. Do it.
Cool.
I don't know. I don't like him being a murderous dictator. But everything else is kind of cool.
I don't like you being a murderous dictator, but I appreciate your body positivity.
Yes. See, that's what Also, maybe I kind of empathize because I basically have the same body shape.
No, you don't.
I have the round belly and then lanky limbs. That's the Eggman.
Whatever.
I am the Eggman.
You're adorable.
Thank you. Eggman developed the E series of robots, each powered by a small animal. His latest models were the E100 series. However, he began another plot for world domination by shattering the Master Emerald and unsealing chaos. But without any emeralds. It was in its Chaos Zero state. However, Froggy, a small frog, ate a Chaos Emerald and Chaos's tail and ran off with them.
Okay. Sonic Adventure. Oh, I remember this one.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. I like this one.
Eggman set about finding all the Chaos Emeralds to feed Chaos until he could become a god once again and conquer the world for him. In the meantime, he got some of the robots to try to find Froggy, including E100 Alpha, also known as Zero, E101 Beta, E102 Gamma, E103 Delta, E104 Epsilon, and E105 Zeta. E102 had a glitch and gained a conscience, and Gamma began killing his fellow robots to free the animals within them, while Zero persecuted Amy.
Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Big the cat, and Gamma discovered some Chow gardens while they raised where they raised Chow as caretakers. That was so awesome.
The Chow gardens were the best. I didn't play this one.
I mapped out all the different possibilities of Chow to raise, all the different permutations and the ways
Really?
you could raise them. Yeah, see, I don't know if you know this, but when they go through the puberty cocoon, you have to give them a certain stat and they'll change their form.
Yeah,
but then there's a secondary one that will take effect as they mature into adults.
Yeah.
So you can have a flying
remember.
power kind of thing. You could also breed them and have two-tone colors. You can have transparent ones.
Yeah, I
Eventually,
remember.
they could kind of go to a god tier.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wow, I'm surprised. High five. Ciao, nerds.
While Big tried to retrieve Froggy, whom he considered his best friend, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy had to deal with Eggman, Chaos, and finding the Chaos Emeralds. Eventually, Eggman gave Chaos his tail back as well as all 7 Chaos Emeralds, and it returned to its perfect Chaos form. However, Super Sonic managed to defeat Chaos and save the world. Chaos then reunited with Tikal's spirit, and Knuckles repaired the Master Emerald. Then Gamma killed himself to free the Flicky trapped within him.
That was the saddest part.
Yeah.
I
remember
loved
that
Gamma.
at the end.
His
and then
whole
you
thing.
see the 2 little birds at the end.
He's just trying to free the animals and kill his murderous brethren. And at the end, he realizes there's one more to go. And that's himself. Mm-hmm. And you see the little bird go out, and it was worth something. I like to think that Gamma lives on in the bird. Because where the bird ends and the robot begins is unclear.
Yeah, in that case specifically.
Well, all of Eggman's robots.
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure 2.
We're not going to be able to finish this one.
Yeah, let's do Sonic Adventure 2, and then we might be done.
All right.
Eggman discovered his grandfather's diary, and he learned of Shadow's existence. He infiltrated Prison Island and reawakened Shadow. Eggman also shattered the Master Emerald once again, and Knuckles had to piece it back together. Rouge the Bat was a double agent for both Gun and Eggman. Eggman, Shadow, and Rouge made a plan to work together to achieve their individual goals by gathering the Chaos Emeralds.
Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, Eggman, and Rouge discovered some Chow gardens where they raised Chow as caretakers. I could go on and on about this because this one has those.
Oh, this one's much better, yeah.
Yes, they had the animals. I hated the animal parts though because I wanted them to look cool.
But the Dragon Chow. I made a little Dragon Chow named Josh.
A lot of the animal parts just made them look so weird.
I had a Dragon Chow named Josh.
Okay.
He was adorable.
Okay. You're adorable.
He also became an angel, so he was an angel dragon.
Oh yes, you had the angel garden
And the demon ones, yeah.
and the kindergarten.
Yep.
Yes.
Anyway, back to the story. When Shadow began stealing Chaos Emeralds, Gunn profiled him as a Mobian hedgehog and immediately started trying to murder Sonic. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles had to stop Eggman, Shadow, and Rouge to get Gunn to stop going after them. Later, when Eggman had infiltrated the Ark and reactivated it, Eggman had enough Chaos Emeralds to fire the Ark's Eclipse Cannon at the moon, destroying half of it, demanding that the United Federation hand power over to him before he fired again.
That was a Freudian slip.
They don't really talk about this, but yeah, there's only half a moon in Sonic after this point. I guess it's just the part you don't see.
I wonder if they keep it consistent.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I still assume it's just the part you don't see.
However, Gerald Robotnik's revenge plan went into effect. Thanks to Shadow's actions, the Ark began to crash towards the world as Robotnik's final words bode farewell to the world. Amy managed to convince Shadow to save humanity, but even when they tried to stop the Ark, the Biolizard manually piloted the Ark straight downwards. Using the Chaos Emerald, Supersonic and Super Shadow defeated the Biolizard, saving the world. Shadow sacrificed himself to save the rest, and he burned to death, falling through the atmosphere.
And this is sad, Shadow dying.
Yeah.
He was really meant to be a one-off character, but people loved him so much. Let's just say some stuff happens. But, he died. He's dead. Shadow is dead. You might see someone called Shadow in later games. That's not Shadow. Shadow is dead. That's a fakey imposter.
Okay. Can we stop here and take a moment of silence to mourn the loss of Chow Gardens after this point in the series?
I don't know why they never brought them back.
They were the coolest thing.
Why didn't they just make like a game that was
back.
nothing but Chow Garden? I don't understand.
That would have been the coolest mobile game.
I mean, it wouldn't have to be. I will buy any game if it came with a Chow Garden.
Yes,
but
because it's awesome.
I just feel like, yeah, a mobile game like that would be very successful.
Yeah, it could totally be a handheld game.
Maybe make a fighting mechanic, have it be like a Pokemon kind of thing,
Well, they had those competitions.
But I mean,
remember?
I mean multiplayer though.
Well, yeah, but remember those competitions?
Yes.
Oh.
I ended up hacking the game and getting an Omochao that could murder everybody.
What? Why?
Because I wanted to win.
Oh my god.
Omochao being like, here's a helpful hint for you. Did you know that you're all gonna die?
Oh my god. You were terrible. There actually was a fighting tournament in the game.
Yep.
Oh my god. You were terrible.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to finish this in a two-parter. We'll do that next time.
All right.
Because I want to get this done with, and we'll talk about where the Sonic series ends and where it goes from here. There's some bumps in the road, but there's some games I think are good, interesting stories and stuff.
I want to go raise some chow now.
All right. Well, this is it for now, but tune in 2 weeks from now to hear the follow-up.
Yep.
Or see the movie. But no, still listen to our podcast, please.
Yes.
Okay. We have a Twitter called Game Theorems. We have a Patreon. We have a life, I think. Don't count on it. Bye.
And bye.